The
place.
challenge is storage,
Well, I understand.
because you can't fill them and have them outside.
Yeah,
because they
no,
just go to shit.
I understand that, but, so you had an adequate number, I mean, we wouldn't even have come to close if we'd had time last year,
Yeah.
adequate number, and the other thing is if there would be some preparation on explaining to people on how to sandbag, like not out in the middle of the street.
Nobody
like-
knew.
How to
Nobody
use
knew a
it.
damn thing about it.
I know that the DES is gonna be putting out some
Yeah.
information like that online
Because I
and through the
thought-
Because we
newspapers and
wasted a
stuff.
lot of time and energy last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
time and
I'm
energy.
in the street, come on, you just diverted it to the neighbor here.
And somebody drive down the street and blow them all up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like
We didn't know what we were doing.
the building,
It was-
sandbag the building
it was
and don't
terrible.
bother the rest.
It was terrible.
And that might be the best way, and that's something individually you'll have to look and see. You know, and then sandbag it around the doors of your garages and things like that to try.
And plastic over the sandbags.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
something we
and I
didn't
mean, I
know.
guess it's something that maybe if in April you could put together a short meeting and if people could have an estimate, at least you would have the bags on hand.
And we
Does
do.
that,
We do have,
You
they're in the
know-
We've got
garage.
thousands of bags, don't we?
okay,
We do, they're in the shed
And
right
we've
here.
got piles of
Okay.
sand
We
too.
got three truckloads of
okay,
sand
that
over
was
there,
my only,
waiting.
cause it does
If we could
take a
fill them
lot.
up and stack them
No,
somewhere, we
no,
would.
that I understand,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. Now the big bags is another option.
Yeah,
We're looking at that, so
I didn't even know
Okay.
they were available.
I didn't either. Didn't kind of
What's
Anyway,
okay.
any other
Comments?
questions, comments?
I'm checking it off.
Okay. Next, let's approve the minutes for February 14th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the 14th.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for February 14th, 23. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Approve the minutes for March 2nd meeting, 2023.
Make a motion to approve the March minutes.
And I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for March 2nd, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approve claims.
And I will make a motion to approve the claims
I will second that as well.
for February.
For February, yes. We have a motion to approve the payroll summary, approve the claims for February 23. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approve the payroll summary.
I'll also make a motion to approve the payroll summary for February 2023.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the payroll summary for February 23. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is new business. And I don't have anything to look like. Let me read the resignation letter here from Lace. You got one there? Okay.
Oh, I knew I had an extra one laying around for a reason.
It says, Dear Town Council, I am writing this in my statement of resignation. I will help get someone hired and help that person get going and will always be willing to help them in the future. I just don't want the town to invest any more in me, then I don't want to do this forever. Now is the perfect time for someone new because it's before all the schooling in the year. I want to give the new person every opportunity for success that she can. So as of today, she gave her 2 weeks notice and she's gonna stay until we get somebody lined up to take her position. We do have some applications.
There's 3 so far,
We have 3.
Yeah.
and there's still another week in Carbon County News.
Okay, so do we wanna start interviewing this week?
I would think that we should.
Okay, is
3 applicants.
Yeah.
Dave, do you wanna I mean, how do you guys wanna do it? You wanna all get together and do it, or do you wanna just,
Set it up
2
in
of
the
you?
evening where we could all be here.
Pardon?
Set it up in the evening when we could all be here.
Set it up in the evening so we can all be here? Okay, have another meeting? Interviews?
So this is gonna be open to the public as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When would be a good time to do that?
I really don't like that.
I know you don't get home very early.
No, I don't like the fact that it's open to the public. I think that an application, there's
It's a lot
questions.
of your interview.
Yeah, there's questions that we need
Okay,
to ask
well-
people that really.
Well, now's the time
They
to-
probably don't want everybody in the world to know the answer
We
to.
weren't supposed to do them open public.
I didn't think we were either.
Because it's public, that's personal information on something.
Excuse me. When they do at the school, they do an interview that everybody can come in and listen to, and then they close session it because everything is personal information. And that's how they
They
go
can do
about
either
it.
way. Do you guys wanna do it kinda like, where a couple of you come in and we'll talk to that person, they set up a time, they come in, we sit down, we don't have a quorum? and-
I'd rather do it like that myself.
Okay. We will set up a time and then I'll,
But I'm only one person. I mean,
I know.
ask
No, I
me.
agree on the same thing, I just feel you're putting them in front of the firing squad.
okay.
What's wrong with the public being invited to listen in on?
I don't think there's anything wrong with the general questions
No, I would
that
like
we
to hear
ask.
their qualifications, is
Sure.
what I would
Yeah.
like to hear.
And I
If we're
don't
gonna
have a
spend money
problem with
on them, I'd like to
And
know whether
yeah.
they're qualified to do the job.
Well, what we cannot, when we do individual, when they come in and they would talk to them, then we can't vote on them. We have to have a quorum, we have to have a meeting, we bring them, and then we vote to see if if that's the time that you wanna ask what their qualifications are, then we can talk about the qualifications.
I have a question. Do you guys set up the same questions for each and every?
It's usually the same.
Yeah, no, I
same
just wanted to,
questions. Yeah,
That's
I
the
wanted
way
a
to interview.
standard, that's,
yeah, everybody needs to have the same, and it doesn't matter. You know, I had a gentleman that might have been interested in it, but he backed out, so. So we'll set that up.
So how do I need,
You need to call.
how do I do that?
You need to call these persons.
Okay. Do I have to
Find out
post it
when.
or anything?
Well, we'll have to set up a meeting after the deadline to
Oh.
hire 'em.
Oh, yeah, but for interviews?
Yeah.
Do you?
But if,
You won't have to post it if we don't have a quorum.
yeah, it's just gonna be
Just interviews.
two of the councilmen come in.
So then after the interviews, you'll let me know when you'll need to have a meeting?
Yeah.
For, okay.
No, we can work it that way.
Has this been advertised? The
Yes.
job's been
It's
advertised?
been advertised for a week now,
Yeah.
and it's got one more week to go before we close.
Just in the county?
I believe that's,
Or-
yes, the Red Lodge newspaper,
Carbon County News.
Carbon County News, yes, yes. A lady that knows. Thank you. Okay. So that's underway in the process. Next on our list is council seat letter or intent from Lauren McHugh, and I think there was two of them, wasn't there?
There is. There's at least one more.
One came in today and,
Let me find it here.
Yeah, we
I think we're the
have
first one.
Joshua and Lauren.
Dave, do you wanna read the first one there?
I can. This is from Joshua Haney. Attention, Mayor Nottingham, board members and residents of Fromberg. I'm writing you to state my interest in the vacant city council seat. I've been a resident of the town of Fromberg for 2 years and would like the opportunity to contribute to its continual growth. If selected, I will be available to attend regular town meetings and other requirements the position holds. I believe it in accountability, responsibility, and proper planning, traits ingrained in me from the military. Having heard from other residents. There are concerns about the high cost of utilities, bad roads, flooding, and the future of Fromberg. The youth are leaving this town quicker than we can replace them. We need to look at all resources available to bring jobs here, promote tourism and growth. I look forward to working together to ensure the town's survival in an evolving world. Thank you, Joshua Haney.
Okay, is Joshua here? No? Okay. Any other
Read the
one?
next one.
Yep.
I, Lauren McKeever, would respectfully like to submit my name for consideration to fill the recently open position of town councilman for the town of Fromberg, County of Carbon, State of Montana. Sincerely, Lauren McGeever.
Is Lauren here?
Yeah. Right here.
You're right here? Yeah. Would you stand, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Lauren McKeever. I moved here just before the flood, about 3 weeks before the flood. And so it was, what, 10 months ago or so? And, yeah, put in my hours that first month. And, but yeah, I helped Nate and Shane over here on the block and they took care of the park. Pretty much retired. Got all the time in the world.
Okay, good. I don't know you very well.
No, I grew up in Arizona. I have lived in Montana for 30 years. I lived in Red Lodge in Belpre, and then I moved over east to Circle, and I just came back here before the flood.
Okay, what specialties do you have?
I'm a
What,
carpenter,
you're a carpenter?
by trade, yeah.
Okay,
And I worked in mining too, so a lot
okay.
of experience doing that kind of stuff.
It's kind of like a Swiss Army.
Heavy
knife. You
equipment.
Put a task in front of them, he's pretty good at just about anything you put in front of him.
Okay. So when do you guys want to set a date so we can decide who you would like to have on your council?
Let's do it at the next meeting.
At the next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd like to know a little bit more about the other gentleman as well.
yeah. Well, it's good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Next regular meeting
Yeah.
or next, okay.
In April.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah,
Let's
old
see if we can
business.
reach out to him and make sure that he's at that meeting,
Okay.
Yeah, I would,
along with anybody else that we get letters from between now and then.
I kind of would have hoped we'd have had more.
Yeah,
So you are still taking letters then?
yeah,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
We will until our next meeting.
Yes,
I was
Yeah.
waiting for my
Don't you think?
meal.
I do.
That's fair's fair if it's.
Yes.
So I could
It'd be
take
good to
it
get
home.
more than, get some more interest
More the
in.
merrier.
Yeah, there,
And thank you for your interest.
Okay.
yes. Review legal counsel interviews. Okay, so we had 3 people apply for the attorney's position. I didn't separate any of my paper. Do you have those?
Well, I've got this one. That was respectfully declined.
That's the
Yes.
only one I had.
We had one that declined and pulled her health reasons. So we had,
I didn't have anything from your guys' interview. I figured you would just,
so
kind
who,
of discuss
which, there was
the two
Jennison
interviews.
Butler
Dennison and,
Walter Cloud.
and Walter Clapp. Okay, now, both these gentlemen have a practice in Red Lodge.
Don't know about the board.
Yeah.
They were both qualified, well-qualified people. I don't know, what do you, I have my preference, but, you guys,
Who interviewed him?
My ass is getting.
myself and Bill.
Bill?
I was there, I was present for the guy.
You were there from
That guy was
Mr. Butler.
I prefer him, but we'd have to change our meeting day back to Monday.
Yeah, that's the one thing with him, he's the Red Lodge guy, he does everything for Red Lodge.
Yeah.
So we'd have conflict date of meetings, so we'd have to either change our meeting back to Monday or do the second Monday of the month. I still think it's a good idea to keep us separate from the school board.
I do too.
Because I mean, there's no reason somebody should pick school board or town council
Right.
if they're gonna vote.
I agree.
And you said he's,
Red Lodge's.
He's the
Red
attorney.
Lodge's attorney, so he is fairly,
Yeah, he's savvy
he's
to the area.
versed in Montana.
Yeah.
And it's what he votes.
Actually, well qualified.
He's,
Okay.
his background, I can, if we can afford him, he'll be good.
A box elder bug.
Well,
That's her,
Really trying to get me a screen.
that's her.
what about, the cost of each?
Well,
I mean,
they,
was it within,
The cost between Dennison and Clap, Dennison's a little more reasonable.
not that that's the final, you know?
$150 an hour to $250 an hour.
Yeah,
Mr. Clapp versus, Mr. Butler would do what Hope Freeman was doing.
Yeah, for
The amount of money that she was collecting, which I believe was $1,200 or $1,300 a month.
oh, so that was a kind of a retainer
Yeah.
situation,
And
not hourly.
Not hourly. He said that some days he would be more for the town, other months less.
The thing I like about him, even being in the correspondence at Red Lodge, he's got his a finger on the pulse of the area. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So,
And during the interview process on that one, we brought up kind of the ordinance stuff, and nothing about that whatsoever even made him nervous. Like, he didn't even bat an eye at it. He's like, we can clean that all up. It's not as complicated as our previous council was saying, so.
And he does speak Mandarin Chinese if you're interested.
Yeah, he's fluent.
yeah.
that's a big check off for me.
That's what I asked him. I was like, have you ever used it in Montana? He's like, yes, I know.
So, are you guys prepared to vote tonight?
I would vote for him.
Yeah? Would their 2 positive votes be enough to confirm if I abstained because I didn't detain the 10?
It would, that presents a majority.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote then.
Okay, so,
I'll make the motion to hire Dennis and A. Butler as the city attorney.
And I will second it.
we have a motion and a second to hire Mr. Dennison Butler as the city attorney. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm not opposed, I
You just
abstain.
abstain, okay.
That way it's
Now
not
we
my
need
fault.
to,
So the meeting in April, we'll have to have on the agenda
Yeah.
of rescheduling the meeting.
and I will get in touch. I've already spoke to our current attorney, sat with him yesterday, so we'll sit and I'll tell him that Dennison will be in touch with him to transfer everything that he's been working on. Because I think there's some criminal cases, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure there is.
I'm sure that's,
We work with Dennison, we see him, he's in the courthouse all the time.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure that's pretty seamless, that transition.
yeah, yep, I believe so. Yes.
You might get with him right away and start ordinance to change the meetings, and Lacey can post them right away, because they gotta be posted 60 days.
Yeah. And it's gotta be,
Sorry, but that's just, it.
yeah, no, it's gonna be an ordinance change,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
but then that way, you know, you could have that probably next week. I mean, it's a easy write-up, it's not hard.
And he's more than willing to do whatever we need.
Kristen wrote your last one for that.
Yeah. Okay. That is good.
Sure, I just went through and highlighted the second Tuesday every month on that calendar.
Okay. So that takes care of the attorney that we were talking about. Public Works Director, Jay.
How about Chad?
No, you got
Oh.
Chad next.
Did I miss
You
Chad?
went right over the top of it.
I'm sorry. Chad, I apologize. I apologize. Chad.
Alright.
I must be-
I wasn't ready for the crowd this evening, so I don't think I made enough copies for everybody.
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, I
of those.
put one in there.
Yeah.
You can
Oh.
leave some for anybody else though.
I will leave them all with you then, Mason.
And yours is colored. Thank you.
Yeah.
Over here.
So,
Email that one?
There it is.
Yes, we will.
if I stand over here, would it be better?
Thank you, ma'am.
What, you gonna try to dodge flying objects or what?
So,
So
as
the
you
water
recall,
and
last
sewer-
meeting, we discussed the sewer transmission main that we know is in bad shape.
Right.
And then the potential of adding it to the Art of Water project, where we're gonna loop under the tracks and take care of, I would say around Gold Spur Loop?
Minesburg.
Minesburg. And I put together what our grant people and stuff, and I'd work on as far as funding, you know, that we could find for you. We've talked to ARPA, you can move your local fiscal recovery money and your minimum allocation grant to the sewer, but you can't move the competitive because it was scored on the water
Specifically.
project. So we moved as much as we could. And then you guys asked me to put together scenarios on potential rate increases if you took on SRF loan
Mm-hmm.
to make up the difference. So I did two scenarios for the water and sewer. One of them's assuming that we get the maximum forgiveness on the SRF loan, which by federal law, SRF can't give grants, so they just forgive part of the loan. That's how they get around it. And the other is with zero forgiveness. So it gives you the essentially best case, worst case scenario. For the water, because you got the competitive grant, you'd be looking at a loan of about between 34,000 and 136. It would require 77 cents to 309 is what I calculated the interest rates and things. Lacey forwarded me the budgets for the water and sewer enterprise funds. I plugged those in, your existing debt, the number of users, what you're collecting. The water could cover that without any rate increase. In fact, you'd still be, what is it, between $5 and $7 to the good. So on the water side.
Mm-hmm.
On the sewer side, you're looking at a loan between 404 would be the worst case if you took a 100% loan, or 283 if we got the 30% forgiveness. And that's between $6.50 and $9 per month per user to pay for that. But when I plugged in the budget for the sewer, and I haven't had time with Lacey to dive into the budget, it looks like the sewer's running at a deficit already. And to balance that, you'd need to raise the rates $10 a month. So between the two, the loan, and if there really is a deficit in the sewer, you're looking at between $16 and $19 a month. But I don't know for sure on that deficit, and I haven't had time, like I said, to dive into the budget. That was just a quick report out of Black Mountain of, this is your budget that you guys budgeted for sewer. I know most communities don't spend that budget, you're pretty conservative, but that's the number I plugged in. As part of it, if you do move forward with SRF loans, you bring on bond counsel to help you do all the bonding and stuff, and then the DNRC would do a debt calculation, which would be much more in depth than what I've done of actually what your rate increase would have to be. But this gives you a planning level. Water side, it looks like you're good. Sewer, you could be looking at, if that deficit is true, $16 to $19 per user per month. But that's where we're at. We're still, other funding sources watching House Bill 355. It's getting a lot of bipartisan support, but they did move the deadline from July 1st, 2023, which was going to be pretty unrealistic for the counties to the end of December. So I don't know if that money would even be available in time, if you guys still wanted to go forward this year.
And this is something that needs done ASAP. I mean, we lose that sewer down there. This whole western side of the town is gonna be equal to a flood, but in gray water.
Yeah, it's not a good situation at all.
So no, at the end of the day, I don't think we have a choice. It has to be done. Whether we like that or not.
What's the present rate for sewer?
67.
$67 a month?
Yeah.
So we're looking at a $20 increase.
67?
Yeah, I asked something on that. I have brought this up several times, and you may be aware of this because you work with other towns. We're one of the few towns that don't charge sewer according to usage. And, you know, we've got people one person paying the same as 5 people paying. If that, do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
know exactly what you're saying, yeah,
Yeah.
you have a high flat rate for your sewer.
Yeah.
On the water side, it's 45 plus then 250 per 1,000 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
It is not uncommon, I work with a lot of communities that do usage in sewer, and typically they average November, December, January, winter usage, because you're not washing cars, your lawn and stuff, so it's what's actually going down the sewer. And it can balance it a little bit, but it doesn't change the calculation when it changed the bottom line.
No, but it
But-
would make it easier on
And
those
it's something-
individuals.
You know, like Lacey, I asked her questions, because their sewer system, you have full times 2, 3, 4. And I asked how many of those there are, and she said there are none. They're all just the straight full plus the school.
Is
So-
that correct? Or did I tell him wrong?
No, well, I'm just
No,
saying,
I mean, normally
you might
everybody has just a
have, if we
full,
do
right?
have to
You're
go
right,
through a rate,
you're right.
if we do have to go through a rate increase, there would be an opportunity to actually do a rate study. Matt will help you with it, Roll Water, I'd help you, but as you point out, I'm not free. And, but you could look at options to structure that and redo the whole rate structure and have usage if that was something you wanted to look at, or clarify what these fulls are. You know, a lot of times they're more geared to what we call equivalent dwelling units, or EDUs, and they're based on the meter size, and it's a proportionate size. But if you do have to do a rate increase, which it looks like on the sewer side you're going to, if you want this loan, you would have an opportunity to reevaluate the whole rate structure at that time. So if you do want to move forward, the first step, do you have the letter, Lacey?
Yes.
So basically, you just have to tell ARPA that you want to expand the scope of the project, and that the town is committed to coming up with the extra money. You don't have to tell them where it's coming from. We know we're going after SRF loans, hopefully some other grant money. The MSEP emergency grant money that we can get from Becky, anything we can find. But we have to get the commitment letter from you guys, and then we can finish the closeout and get the ARPA loan or grants in place. And that'll give you guys some capital to get finished up the design. We've already started on the design on the water and the sewer, because we were out here, we just surveyed it all. But that's the first step. And then we'd start working we'd get bond counsel. Do you guys use Dorsey and Whitney or Murdo, or do you remember, Lisa?
I don't know.
I don't recognize either of those.
I'd have to go back and look at the sewer project who you worked with. But bond counsel, you'll need them. There's fancy attorneys that help you with the loan paperwork and setting up the bonds. And then we get the SRF applications going. The emergency grant application, we can submit all that. So,
Okay.
but you guys are faced with a really tough decision.
Well, personally, I've looked at that line and I know it's paper thin, even less than paper thin. And if we get any flood water that goes down through there, it's gone. It's just gonna take the line out. As we were digging around, it's got soft dirt around it instead of hard packed.
Well, it might have some quickcrete there.
Well, I did put some quickcrete on it, yes, but
I'm more concerned with it collapsing under the highway or the railroad, actually.
Yeah.
Because then try an emergency style fix a collapsed line under the railroad, they don't get real happy. And
Your fault, no.
So that's the one thing, our cost can only go up the more we
Yeah,
spend.
the
yeah.
longer we take, the more expensive it's gonna get.
Yeah, and
I would say we need to do it.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to change your deal right away on your increase.
In the increase.
Yeah,
But we need to look at, because our garbage runs into the red every month as well. So it's something we need to look at and raise the rates.
well, there's some ways around that garbage, or there should be. If you,
Well, and actually, I think our contract's gonna do that, but then let's continue on with the,
yeah,
with this.
I would caution you, the rate, you don't want to rush into it, and it's going to take several months.
Yes.
You're going to want to get bond counsel on it, we're going to want to sit down with Lacey, maybe get Kirsten and go through the
Yeah, I was
budget,
gonna say,
explain
we
it to
need
me,
person just in case.
and make sure that there's not something you know, between the water and sewer. And maybe there is something where you can even lower the water rates, because you've got
To
some
balance
play
out
there.
one
the
side.
water rates
To-
to raise the
So
sewer
the
rates.
overall increase
Because
isn't
if
as
we can
much.
negate it on this side and.
Some of it, not all of it, but,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of steps and we wanna do it right, so.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the SRF loan, it takes a month or two to get that through anyway, so we'll start that process, but while we're, simultaneously we'll finish design, get the permitting, because again, the railroad and NDT, it takes some time to get their permits in place and everything, so hopefully the funding and the design and approval would all come together this summer, you know, June or July, and then we could go to bid and still be, I'm hoping this fall out there.
Well, that would be good. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion.
A motion, we approve the documents provided by Chad.
Can we just see if there's any comment?
Yeah,
On
let's-
this Gallard, please?
Yeah.
Just like to ask, what kind of surplus is this new rate gonna generate? And how is it gonna be used?
There's not gonna be much of a surplus.
This is just to cover the loan.
This is just to cover the loan.
This is what?
Just to cover the loan. We're still gonna be scratching.
Well, how much surplus do we have in the water and sewer account right now?
That's what we just discussed.
Apparently we don't have any reserve really.
We're $20, it's gonna take $20 a person to pay the
Increase.
loan.
And take $20 per person to pay the.
Well, that's
pay the-
just
It's,
your budget versus revenues. Are you asking about what they have in reserves? I
Yeah,
don't think you have a ton in reserves, do you, Lucy, in either
no,
fund?
we don't.
Do you have any idea off the top of your head? Probably not.
I don't. It might
Should be
no,
on the
I don't
budget.
know.
$50,000.
Yeah, it seems like it's about 50.
And typically, a community, again, we work with a ton of communities, I help set up a ton of rate structures. They're looking at 10%-ish of their budget for a reserve, just to replace pumps, blowers down, maintenance down at the treatment plant. If someday they have to replace the backhoe that they're building up, that reserve. And it's usually for more short-lived assets, pumps, equipment, things like that. But it generally is, I think most of the clerk training you guys get and stuff is they recommend 10% of your overall budget, what they want you to see you put in there. It's not huge, but,
Just a little cushion in case something happens.
well, yeah, but one of the
But not
wells
big
goes
enough for
down, you
this
gotta
kind of-
replace the
in case
pump
something
and.
happens.
yeah, I realize that. Is it supposed to pay wages too?
Generally, the water operators and stuff are paid out of the enterprise funds. So, I don't know if you're aware, sir, but quick education thing, because this is a common misconception. By state law, the water fund, the sewer fund, and the garbage fund are called enterprise funds, and they have to run just like a business. They can't collect taxes or anything, they can only operate off of user fees. And there's a prescriptive method in the Montana Code annotated, and you go through your rates and you have to calculate, here's our costs, including salaries for the water and sewer operators, equipment, chemicals, power, if there's gonna be a reserve, your debt obligations, and then